Welcome to SGD 113 SG Programming. Today I'm going to show you a little introduction into Microsoft Visual Studio. And I'm assuming that you've already installed Visual Studio, either Visual Studio Express from the DVD in the back of your textbook, or by going to the DreamSpark website and downloading Visual Studio 2010 Professional and installing it from there. First thing you want to look for, of course, is the Visual Studio icon. I have one here on my desktop. It looks like the infinity symbol, sort of going from a blue to a purple gradient. Also, if you click on Start All Programs, it should see Microsoft Visual Studio 2010. And then here's the icon for it. Just click on it and it'll start up for us. So as Visual Studio loads, just a quick brief, Visual Studio contains 3, maybe even 5 languages. C#, Visual Basic, C++, F#, and ASP.NET for creating web applications. So you should come up to a screen similar to this. You may get a different screen when you first start it, where it wants you to choose the environment that you're going to use. I will go ahead and choose the Visual C# environment, and it may take a little while beyond that to set some configuration files up. After that, from then on, you should come up to a screen similar to what you see here. First thing I'm going to do is do a new project. I'm click on this new project link here, and up will pop a new project dialog box. Now, since we're dealing with Visual C# here, here are the other languages: Visual Basic, C++, F#. Make sure always that we're dealing in Visual C#. For this little demo, we're going to click on the Windows type of template under Visual C#, and then here on the right hand side, make sure the Windows Form application is selected. Next, we're going to go down here to name our project, and we're just going to name this one Hello World. In the location, I'm going to leave mine set to the default, and I'll show you where it by default it should put all your files at. This is the opportunity where you can point it into a different directory or to your flash drive if you need to. So after I set my name, I'm leaving my location as it is. I'm going to click OK. Oop, I've already got one by that name, so let me put a little 1 on the end here. So behind the scenes, Visual Studio is creating several directories, several files, configuration files, source files for our Visual C# project here. The first thing you'll notice, it comes up with this form. This form is just a window out there in the Windows operating system, but here it's known as a form. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name of this form. You see what it just says Form 1 it appears. At this point, it's actually a working Windows app. If I click this Run icon here, it looks like the little play button. If I click on that to test it, then up pops the application we just created. I'm going to close that, back here to the form. First thing I'm going to do is change the text of this form. Everything here in Visual Studio is an object. One thing objects have are properties. So as you can see, this form property, or this form object, has all of these different properties that we can change. Now yours may be arranged categorically. Me, I always like to arrange mine alphabetically. It makes it a little easier to get to. The The first property we're going to look at is the text property of the form. The text property controls what appears right up here in this part of the form. So I'm going to double click on form 1 here in the properties window, and I'm going to type in hello world. Hit enter. And notice the title bar of my form changes to hello world. So now if I run it to test it again, there's my changed form. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to just throw a label on here. A label is one of the tools that one of the visual tools we can put on a form. If you look on your left hand side of Visual Studio, you'll see the main tab we're looking at is called Toolbox. Toolbox contains all the controls we can put on a form. When I hover over it, it pops out, kind of covers up my form here though, and pops right back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dock it, which means it's just going to pin it in place by clicking on this little push pin icon here, and it moves my form over so I can drag things out onto it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a label component, and I'm going to drag it out here, drop it, and now I've got a label object on top of my form. When I click on my label there, it shows my label in the properties window. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the text property, and I'm going to change the text that appears in the label. I'll change it to hello world, couple of exclamation points. Some other things I can change here are the font of the text that appears in the label. So again, making sure label 1 is showing in my properties window, I'm going to scroll up to the font property, click on that, and if you'll notice here to the side there's a little button with 3 dots appearing. If I click on that, a font dialog box will come up. So I'm going to make this bold, and let's make it about 18 points for my size. So now my hello world really stands out here. So if I test that, there it is. Alright, now that concludes this video and just how to get started on things. Stay tuned for some more videos, and I'll show you how where Visual Studio puts all of its files and how I want you to submit your work. Thanks.